So AFI is an ecosystem builder, incubator. There at any given time, there are hundreds of idealistic young people and mid-career change, some not so young people who want to get into this social entrepreneurship space. And Sanjay, I think most of these people know something about your organization, the basics. But if you could focus on how do you figure out who are the people to place bets on, such that a high percentage of them go on to have success, like we've just heard from our two guests, people that have making a huge impact and that you help them at an early stage. How do you what's the secret of AFI's work identifying the highest potential social entrepreneurs?
Thank you, Alex. Again, a warm welcome to all who are on this call. So when we began AFI more than a decade ago, and during this 10-year journey, two things have been constant, Alex. One is in terms of who are our core customers. The core customers, right from day one, have been these early stage technology-enabled, for-profit, high-potential social entrepreneurs in sectors like education, healthcare, agriculture, livelihood, fintech, clean tech. And then the mission of AFI is in terms of how do you identify these entrepreneurs in the early stages of the scaling journeys, and then how do you connect them with resources to help scale the impact of the work. And going back to the specific question with respect to how do we identify these entrepreneurs, there have been myriad channels. In the early years, it was leveraging networks like TIE, Jagrati Yatra, maybe the IIT Alumni Network. And then we also used to have this concept of these sector champions. These are individuals who have tremendous experience in these sectors, education, healthcare, agriculture, whatever the sector may be. They have great visibility in terms of the people, the entrepreneurs doing good work in these sectors. And they used to bring to the AFI team's attention that these are the individuals doing good work, and my team used to kind of follow up with them, share with them about AFI, about the annual forum that we used to organize, about the Silicon Valley chapter that we had. So that's how we used to kind of engage with these entrepreneurs. And again, the trigger for this actually goes back to nearly 20 years ago when I happened to run into Dr. Pitroda at a conference in the US. And after that, we were in regular interaction with each other, wherein the initial conversations were around how to involve the youth of India in the nation building of India. And that went through several iterations and finally converged to the current mission, which is to how do you work with these young, energetic social entrepreneurs, and how do you help scale the impact of the work?
I want to come back to you, Akshita. Obviously you've had a lot of people that have helped you. You mentioned before this TCS incubator, right? I mean, once people understood your potential, your drive, your values, a lot of people step forward. But could you help us understand, in general, social entrepreneurs, what they need at various phases, but in particular, what stands out in terms of what Action for India helped you in your journey of social entrepreneurship and impact?
Sure. I think interestingly enough, Sanjay sir just talked about his network of people who find champions like us and direct us to AFI at the right point of time. I think that's what happened to us. So Sanjay sir's dear friend, Mr. Bhanu Prasad, happened to be our mentor at the TCS Foundation Incubation Center called Digital Impact Square. And so while as engineers, like we were right out of college, me and my co-founder back in 2016, we just were out of college. We started, building Trestle Labs in 2017. Of course, after 12 to 18 months, we had the product. But what does it take from, for us to transition from that product development phase to really taking it to the people that we had built it for, bringing a change in their lives? So, I mean, the transition phase of product market fit to, really scaling up your product. And I think that was exactly the stage where our mentor had passed us on to, Sanjay sir's guidance and mentorship through AFI. And so just talking about just putting down three real reasons or 3 ways AFI has really stood out in its journey of supporting us at Trestle Labs. So while we were, our product development was done. So what do we need next? We need the right guidance to put a business model together, because for us, we didn't even know how to price our product. Okay, we have built something, it's a piece of technology, we want to do social impact, but at the same time we also want to be a for-profit and run it like a profitable venture to sustain the impact that we are generating. So putting a business model together, thinking of it from at the intersection of impact and business, that was like the really critical input at that time, which champions like AFI bring in. Second thing I think, which I would also want to share is, of course, so once your business model is set, what do you need next? You need the right set of networks, connections, to be able to deploy those products, take it to other people, show them that it's worth, and more importantly, add credibility to it. So AFI and Sanjay sir personally, with his and the AFI's amazing network of people, mentors, resources, just pulled in all of them together as a part of the 2 accelerator programs that I was a part of. So at AFI, I was a part of the Asia cohort, which was Action for India's Social Entrepreneurship Accelerator, and also the WISE cohort, which was Women in Social Entrepreneurship. And through both of those programs, I got connected to the huge pool of resources and mentors, especially through huddles that AFI organizes, or through multiple other connection opportunities, forums. AFI also has its annual forum. So a lot of those opportunities gave us the right connects to have a foot in the door. So now we were, so this was like in 2021. So when we were almost, we had initial set of customers ready. We were supplying to them. We were receiving positive feedback. And I think just last year, this is also the third stage that I want to share. So what do you need next? When you have hundreds of customers, you want to go from 100 to 1,000, right? And what does that take? For that, I think because of our work in the social impact sector, and it's almost like parallel market opportunities in the literacy and the language barrier segment, we needed to reach the grassroots level and create a large scale impact. So I think for that, what you really need is the who's who of the government sector. And I think thanks to AFI's deep networks, even in the government segment, that really helped us reach the right people in the government sector, which basically meant, so for example, last year in November, we started working with one of the state governments in the rural development department. And we started out with a small project, like 165 rural public libraries, where we were, setting up our talking table lamp Kibo. And it so happened that seeing the impact of the project, they have now scaled it to 2,000 rural public libraries just within one state in India. And I think if those are the networks or those are the connections you cannot build if you don't have someone like AFI supporting you. So, just to summarize, AFI got in the right mentorship to put our business plan together, got us the right networks and connections to be able to scale our business. And when talking about grassroots level impact and government connections, you really need a reference. You can't just go get things done directly. And those are the 3 major areas I feel AFI has supported us. Of course, there are many small areas that AFI has supported us, but these are the top 3.
Thank you. I was thinking as you were speaking, if you had never met AFI, I think there's an 80% chance you would still be as successful as you are, maybe 70%. But I think there's a real chance that you would be doing something much less impactful. And I think on that chance, think of all the early stage social entrepreneurs that need a partner like AFI now that will increase their likelihood to have your kind of success. It's really an extremely important role. Shashank, let me pose the same question to you. You have a lot of partners. In fact, if you go onto your website, it's actually hard to find out much about you. And one of the things that's interesting I find about great social entrepreneurs is they keep their egos under control and they give credit to all those who've helped them along the way, the really great ones. But that being as it says, what were some of the distinctive aspects of how AFI helped you in your journey for big impact?
So as DeHaat, we are a complete full stack agri-tech platform offering complete bundle of agricultural value chain services to farmers. So whichever crop they grow, they get access to right from seed to market services so that they can buy quality agricultural input through us. They get complete customized advisory. They get access to the market. Very recently, we started helping them to get access to insurance and finance as well as a facilitator. So that's how again we help the farmer for the full season for whichever crop they grow. I belong to a farmer's family. Initial 7-8 years of my life I had spent in my own village in Bihar. And then after I graduated from IIT Delhi in 2008, I got into consulting, worked there for 3 years. This was into mostly the strategy consulting for retail, supply chain, FMCG side. While again as a kid grew up at a farm but never realized that that net income from agriculture for the entire household is just 70,000 INR, which is maybe like close to $1,000 per year for an average family size of 5. And then the number of such farmers in India itself is like more than 100 million. Globally, it's 500 million. So that was like one end of the story. And then when I looked at the another end where 14 or 15% of national GDP is there, which is close to again now $450 billion. But still the sector holds number of inefficiencies such as again food loss, under penetration of right agricultural technology or extension methodologies, penetration of technology in general, the IT or the digitization, under penetration of financial services, a number of such things. But there are companies who have right proposition for farmers, whether on the financial institution side or as a retail chain or other agri input company. So I think this is something what really was a trigger point that which was like one that sooner or later the physical or the digital connectivity of India will improve, and it's a kind of very, very large gap where both the ends have their own set of concerns, and which can be solved with the help of technology, which can be solved with the help of transparency by eliminating the intermediaries. And more importantly, I think if you succeed to solve the model, then probably you can take it to the really, really large scale from impact's perspective. What motivates us for again next 20-25 years to continue doing what we have been doing in last 12-13 years is that as on date, as we speak, DeHaat directly work with 2.1 million farmers in India. These are the farmers who are active. So that means on day-to-day basis, they are buying something, they're selling something, they're raising their advisory related queries. They are experiencing roughly 30 to 50% increment in their net income from agriculture. We appoint the rural, someone from the same community as a micro entrepreneur, and then that they basically become a local DeHaat spokesperson as a local change agent. So as on date, 12,500 DeHaat centers basically we are operating with, which are all franchise run by the local people, right? And obviously they are the people in fact probably who did not have or who never had access to any kind of let's say institutional support, or who were forced to migrate, or basically who did not have any concrete or consistent source of income. So those are the impact stories I think we have been creating on day-to-day basis. And again, I think it started as a social entrepreneur. Today it's count as an agri-tech model, but the DNA or the thought process, the heart is still the as a social entrepreneur, and which is important for every single workforce of DeHaat. While again, as I said that we are present across 11-12 states of India. Through these 12,500 centers, again, we have our presence in roughly 118,286 villages of India, which is roughly 18% of total rural India. So number of such things. But again, as I said, what is more encouraging and motivating for us that this is not even 2% of the total size of the problem statement we are trying to solve. So our journey at DeHaat has been very bottom up. So like first season, first pilot, it was executed with mere 14 farmers, of 3 neighboring villages of Bihar. And again, it took a lot of effort to convince those 14 farmers. So that's how basically the journey was started. And then like next 6 years, it just went, to build the model, to build the unit economics, to basically derive the value proposition, building the technology piece, advisory content, personalization of advisory content for farmers, supply chain, all those things, like, for next 5-6 years. And when, like, we never cared about growth scale, because I think that was the time when actually we were building the foundation. It was good timing and coincidence that we got in touch with AFI in 2016. And that was a time when there was a point of inflection for DeHaat, right? When the foundation was built in 5-6 years. And then probably I think that was a time when it was all about drawing the right, vision for DeHaat. In terms of quantified manner, in terms of very defined manner. As an entrepreneur, you always have a very large vision, but then the whole point is that when you are building the team, whether you are sort of able to explain the same vision to your team members in a right way, right? So this was the phase, 2016 I'm talking about, when still the team size was like very small, like 20, 25. We still had less than 2,000 farmers at that point of time when we got in touch with AFI. And I think those days, so AFI used to organize Silicon Valley Trek, when they used to take 5, 7 or 10 social entrepreneurs all the way from India to US, and then basically again just to give exposure to their large network in the valley. And here the network means in fact different individuals, institution, different people. And then for next 5-7 days you are just talking about your vision to n number of people, n number of times on a single day. So so I still remember the moment, right? And I think when someone asked me, right, what's your vision about DeHaat? And then with a very deep breath, basically, I answered that, so we really want to work with 100,000 farmers of India. And like, obviously that was a large number, right? Because at that point of time, we had only 2,000 farmers base. And I answered like 100,000 farmers, because that used to be a very, very large number, unimaginable. And then the next question they asked that, there's hey, but India has 100 million farmers. Your vision is to work with like just 100,000. Isn't it too small? And then I said that, yeah, but we have some resource constraint and those things, right? Same, the nature of entrepreneur to defend your answer. And then obviously then the blunt cross question of the reply was that you don't have resource, that's your problem. But why your vision should suffer about it? I think that was a very learning and very interesting moment for me. So I think sorry for the long explanation, but the first thing what I really sort of carried from that trek was all about visioning. You don't have resources, there are hurdles, obstacles for your challenges, but your vision must not suffer for this. And then basically we started visioning about DeHaat. And obviously, and that is one thing I think what I just carry even as on a day-to-day basis, that that again just think big, and then rest everything basically will be done accordingly with respect to time. So think big. So that was one. The two is I think I see AFI as a good community, where whenever basically you come for any kind of occasion, even like this kind of sort of webinar, or though whether you are a speaker or listener, it doesn't matter, but you get to hear like-minded people, right? For example, even like to me, listening Akshita's story, in fact, again, it's like it's a kind of let's say again inspiration, like for next few days, few weeks, few months. So this is something I think every single occasion when I come on AFI platform, in fact, again, I interact, I get to meet different entrepreneurs, different social entrepreneurs, different sectors, different stage. And then basically, and again, you draw the inspiration from each other, right? So that is again community of the like-minded people, and where the relationship is not transactional, right? There is no vested interest, neither between you and AFI, nor between you and any other fellow entrepreneur. So the overall interaction relationship is like, very, very sort of, vision oriented, very, very sort of, holistic or pious. So that's the second thing. Third, obviously, again, AFI without Sanjay, again, incomplete. So Sanjay to me, how to say? Okay, so in Indian mythology, there is a character called Yaksh. whose characteristic is to ask question to the protagonist, and where the answer can only be a truth. So Sanjay is that yaksh to me. Like from somewhere, someday, in a year, in 6 months time, like, he will like suddenly, appear in front of you. How many farmers? How many micro entrepreneurs? What do you think? How many households? And like, that, okay, so he's a person like, where you cannot, manipulate, you cannot speculate. You have to give a right answer. He's yaksh. So Sanjay to me is that character, who keeps asking the right question, and those questions around which my journey was started at DeHaat, which was the impact, the farmers, and those things. Right? So very few people in today's time, right? I mean, when you are busy in building your P&L, when you're busy in raising funds, managing investors, managing a large team, board, and all those things, and then basically in your day-to-day life, like, someone who has been asking the same set of question every year, every 6 months, when you had 100,000 farmers, when you had like 500,000 farmers, when you have 2 million farmers, and then the same question, which is all around impact. That really helps me again, just to have a strong recall that that why I exist for DeHaat, or why DeHaat exists in this sector for that matter.
Oh, great. I saw Akshita put something in the chat about something she learned from you, Shashank. And anyway, this is a learning community right here. Sanjay, before we, I'm going to go a couple more minutes, and then we're going to introduce Sam and but one of the things that was very interesting when you introduced me to Akshita about a week or two ago is you talked about this technique. I can't find my notes, but it was kind of like a very innovative, like, I don't know, you called it a many to one or one to many model. And I've been around a lot of social entrepreneurship support, but I never heard quite of this. So go in any direction for the next couple of minutes, but I think I was really fascinated by that, and that might be helpful to hear about some of the kind of differentiated points that you bring to this.
Sure, Alex. The technique or the initiative that you're referring to is something that we call as the huddle, and it has to do with mentorship. Again, to those of you who are familiar with or steeped in the entrepreneurship domain, mentors play a very important role in your scaling journey. Probably next to funding, this is probably the single most important factor which will lead to your success or failure. And so mentorship is usually a one-to-one interaction. There's a mentor, there's a mentee, and it could be either an in-person interaction or it could be a virtual interaction. It could be a one-off interaction, though that's rare. It's usually over a period of time or a set of interactions. So it's usually one-to-one. That's the main thing, how we all know about mentorship, or we have experienced mentorship. This innovation the huddle is a many-to-one model of mentorship. So what happens is that in the work that we do with the entrepreneurs in our cohort, we request them, once they join the cohort, to share a few problem statements that the founder and the top management team is grappling with. And if you're a enterprise, and if you're alive and kicking, there are a bunch of different things you're trying to master or solve. It could be a fundraising problem, it could be a product development problem, a recruitment problem, a customer acquisition problem, the myriad of these problems. So we ask them to list maybe 3-5 problem statements that have occupied the most attention of the founder and the top management team. And the AFI team reviews them, and we pinpoint or we select one of those problem statements. And then we request the entrepreneur again to get back to us a brief 1 to 2 pager with respect to what is it, some background of that particular problem statement. What has the team done thus far to solve that problem? And where do they think avenues of a solution for the problem lie? And using this information from the entrepreneur, we put together a group of 6 to 9 subject matter experts. And then we organize a 90-minute interaction. So one of our team members serves as a moderator. There's the entrepreneur at the center. There are all these 6 to 9 subject matter experts, a diverse group typically. There could be a domain expert, be it agriculture, be it education, or there could be a horizontal expert. It could be fundraising, it could be sales, it could be what have you. So what we've observed, and we've done it for the last few years, the focused attention of as many as 6 to 9 experts on one sliver of a problem that's occupying the attention of the founder, the entrepreneurs, it usually results in some kind of a breakthrough. It might not be a major breakthrough, but at least a minor breakthrough. So it's not just the interaction between a mentor and the entrepreneur. As the discussion progresses, the other mentors are able to interact with each other with respect to whatever advice that they have for the entrepreneur. And this is really powerful, and people have explicitly come back to us. This has been one of the most powerful things that we've experienced through our accelerator program and so forth. So this is what the huddle is all about. And we hope that we can do several more of such innovative things. Again, these entrepreneurs are the inspiration, are the raison d'etre for why AFI exists. And and several of them, people like Shashank and Akshita, they could have taken lucrative offers in the private sector, but no, they said no to that. They wanted to work on a problem larger than themselves. They want to kind of give back even at such early age. And nothing gives me greater joy than playing a small role in getting them to the next level of the journey. If I can create 100,000 more Shashanks and Akshitas, we would have done a bit in making India and the world a better place. Thank you, Alex.
Oh, yes, thanks. And why don't we just go at this point, actually to your original suggestion, which is, why don't you take this moment to introduce, as
Sure.
if he needs an introduction, but still for formality's sake, Dr. Sam Pitroda, to offer some thoughts of someone who's been a legend in business and social entrepreneurship and in your organization, to kind of help us process what we've heard now. So over to you, Sanjay, to introduce Dr. Pitroda.
Sure, Alex. Dr. Pitroda, again, as I mentioned in my remarks earlier, there would have been no AFI but for my chance interaction with him nearly 20 years ago. And as you said, he's a legend. He leads little or no introduction. For those who are not aware, the next generation, back in the 1980s, he was a member of the cabinet in the late Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's government. He helped launch the telecom revolution in India. If we have more than 1 billion cell phones in the fastest growing telecom market in the world, a lot can be traced back to the work that Dr. Pitroda did back in the 80s. He's been an advisor to the previous Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. He is more than 81 years old, and he's survived skin cancers, survived quadruple bypass surgeries. But I know literally no one, even at his age, the youth and the energy that he embodies. He always surrounds himself with young people. And in my 10 plus years at AFI, he's always been there for me. Whenever I wanted him to kind of come and address a gathering like this, he's spoken at each one of the 8 annual forums that we organize at Action for India. Several of them in person in different cities in India, some virtually. But whenever I reached out to him, he was always there. And I'm grateful to Sam for playing the role that he's done. He's done a lot of great things on the technology side, on the business side, on the social development side, on the government side. But I'm very grateful to him for bestowing his attention on this other organization that is doing so much good. Over to you, Sam.
Thank you, Sanjay. Dear Sanjay, Alex, Shashank, Akshita, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Chicago. It is indeed a special privilege and honor for me to be here with you all. I want to welcome you all to this small interaction. I'm delighted that I had an opportunity to listen to Shashank and Akshita. My compliments to both of them for what they do, what they believe in, what they have accomplished, and what their dreams are. To me, social entrepreneurship is important because it is very Gandhian. It is all about bottom-up development and not top-down. It is about trust in people. It is about sharing. It is about caring. I was born in 1942 in British Raj and grew up as a Gandhian young man. I come from a very small little village and came to America 60 years ago and always got interested in bottom-up development in India. India lives in 700 districts. You'll be surprised to know that only 15 districts make up 50% of GDP in India. That particular data tells me that there is so much opportunity for social entrepreneurship in every district. I had an opportunity to work with Dr. Kurian, who was chairman of the NDDB. In Milk Revolution, he and I worked together as part of technology mission to make India #1 producer of milk. So milk cooperative is all about social entrepreneurship. Agriculture is a private industry in India, but we haven't paid much attention to agriculture beside Green Revolution. Agriculture in India is waiting for major transformation. If I had an option, I would devote next 10 years of my life to agricultural revolution. In terms of getting the best technology, best seed, soil, microbes, and really transform Indian agriculture so that India becomes the supplier of food to major part of the world. We are blessed with great soil, with fertile belt across Ganga and many other rivers. India has very interesting climate. I remember many years ago, I had a discussion with a professor from China. And he said, you know, Sam, the difference between China and India is that we live off Yellow River. So we got to dig and work very hard. If we don't dig, we won't have food. India is blessed because around Ganga, no matter what you do, food will grow anyway. So you don't have to work hard. And there is some truth to it, that we are blessed. But we have a lot more to do in agriculture, food chain. In Rajiv Gandhi era, we had technology missions which were more like bigger task for social entrepreneurship to produce vaccine, to provide drinking water, to improve literacy from 37% to what we have today, 85%. Everywhere we need young people like Shashank, Akshita, Sanjay and others to really take the lead. Unless and until there are young entrepreneurs to work at the bottom of the economic pyramid, you will not really see India on the global map. Indian economic development is not about creating more billionaires or increasing GDP, but it is about lifting 400 million people who are below poverty line. It is really working with the small entrepreneurs, whether they are artisans, farmers, or like Akshita has done, handicapped people. There are huge opportunities and needs. So I really salute these two young, and I hope they can energize many more young. Action India has been or Action for India has been working on this for quite some time. I still remember Sanjay coming to me 20 years ago along with 5-7 young people. And I said, "Are you really serious about what you want to do?" He said, "Yes, yes, yes." I said, "Look, it'll take time. There are no low-hanging fruits." And my compliments to Sanjay that he hung in there. He slogged for 10 years. He would come every time to me and say, "Sam, this is not happening. That is not happening." But I admire the fact that he hung in there and see what he has been able to accomplish. Now it is for many more young like him to do this in every district in India. We need Shashank, Sanjay, Akshita, and others. Their job now is not just to work on what they are doing, but their job now is to create other social entrepreneurs. I think their particular task has changed. We need to promote them. We need to take them to larger group of people, and you will find mentors. You'll find mentors all over. You will find support. You will find money. You know, if Tata is doing something, we can call Chandra and say, "Hey, Chandra, do 50 of these things." And Chandra will do it. I mean, we know all of these guys. You know, I've known Chandra for 40 years, okay, as an example. And they are all good people. They all want to help. But they need young people who will drive agenda at the ground level. Lot needs to be done in India in energy, environment. These are other major issues. Health. We have a long way to go. On one hand, all these people make big claims about global power and all. And on the other hand, you look at the ground reality and you realize that there is just too much work. I mean, garbage collection is a big, big challenge in India. That also requires social entrepreneurship. Okay. So I once again want to thank Sanjay for giving me this opportunity. Appreciate all the good work you are doing. I'm here in Chicago. I go to India on and off. I'm available anytime. You know, I'm deeply connected with India. And I think we all have a lot to do. So I wish you all the best. And thank you for what you all do for India. Thank you, Alex. And thank you, everybody else.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for coming, and especially Sam for his words. I say there are three things you can do. First of all is spread the word. You can just share this with some friends via email, put it out on social media, today. And so that the role of social entrepreneurship in India, the role of organizations like AFI, and both of these articles, I think, focus on DeHaat and Trestle Labs. Second of all, if you feel you have a skill that could help the next generation of Akshitas or Shashank, let Sanjay know. You don't have to show up at 8 of these things in a row like Dr. Pitroda did, but you can show up at 1, or you can be involved in some other way. And third, to make a financial donation. And we're hoping that all of you can consider, all of you, if you're on this call, you're probably a very generous person. You've allocated resources this year to various groups you support. And especially if you haven't supported AFI yet this year, to do it in that kind of quantum of resources will be a big help. Hopefully, anyway, this has been inspirational to you as we head into the end of the year and various holidays. But I'll end here. Sanjay, any final words before we wrap up?
Again, yeah, thank you, Alex. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Akshita. Thanks, Shashank. This has been such a wonderful interaction. The community that Shashank mentioned good meaning people coming together, wanting to do good things, some sharing, some learning, some inspiration for others to kind of go beyond the comfort zone, to do what they can in making the world a better place. So I'm really thankful, grateful to all who've taken time out of your schedules to be part of this gathering. And I hope that with your support, blessings, good wishes, that AFI is able to do more for entrepreneurs like Shashank and Akshita, who will come through go through our accelerators, incubators, and we can do our bit in terms of making things better for the world.